Hi, I'm Jade. I am a management consultant within the energy practice at Accenture. Before that, I studied Masters in Business, and I actually grew up in Halifax, so about 45 minutes up the road. Very small town, don't know if you know it well, and spend a lot of time in Manchester. So that's just a little bit about me.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. First question then, thinking about hair, because that's what brings us here today. So if you could think about three words when you think about your hair, or what would you go for?
This is interesting because I think if you'd have asked me a few years ago, it would have been a different thing. At the minute, it's obsessed, big, and bright.
So why do you use the word bright?
It's kind of coppery, orangey. This is the brightest. I've never actually successfully coloured my hair before. The unsuccessful thing's a whole other story. I did manage to burn the hair out of my head and have to shave it. Honestly, the colour is bright, but it kind of makes me feel bright as well. I think I'm in a place right now where I'm so confident and comfortable with my hair and with who I am that it makes me feel great.
If I had asked you a few years ago, it would have been a different answer. So what do you think has changed?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I grew up in a kind of not very diverse place. So I always had braids or some kind of protective style. It was always covered, had faux locks, that kind of thing. I was never confident enough to go outside without. And honestly, it was kind of this narrative of it being hard to maintain, et cetera, et cetera. I've got a lot of hair. I have a lot of hair. And I think before maybe a year and a half ago, the longest I'd managed with natural hair from about the age of 12 or so was 3 weeks in COVID, and put it back up promptly. Yeah. I think I've been through a bit of a transformation journey with myself and kind of exploring my Black identity a bit more. And I have a lot more confidence and being more comfortable with my hair. And it started, to say, about a year and a half ago where I decided to go natural. I've kind of gone in between a little bit, but actually was confident enough to come into work, for example, with a puff, which is something I never would have done.
Yeah.
And then now, as you can see, I'm starting my lock journey. I'm just over 2 months in. Wow. And I'm absolutely obsessed. My hair looks different every single day, and I'm just obsessed with watching it change and grow. And it's huge right now, and I love it.
No, I love it for you. It's so good to see you so happy about it. How would you say society's perception of natural hair has evolved over the years? And that's like overtly or even sort of change which has happened and on a small level as well?
I think people are now trying to understand each other a bit better. I think there's been a real shift, a step change, a movement of people saying, look, actually, like I said, you were hiring me for my talent and for my brain, not for what you think your standard of professionalism is. I think it had been very different, or I know it was different from my parents' generation, where things like cornrows, for example, you couldn't wear to work. It just wasn't a thing. How big the black beauty industry was with things like relaxers, chemicals that cause cancer and all of those kind of things, and people still using it. My mum kind of recounts to me times where she was sat and my nanny was using the hot comb on the stove to make sure she was ready for church. And I think it translates into, representation in corporate environments. Even, let's just take that, is changing, where we are getting more people of color represented, and so the cultures are internally changing. So I guess it feeds back to what I was saying earlier about visibility, and where you might have been the only person in a workplace, you have to fit in with what that societal bias is telling you. Whereas now there's a lot more diversity, and I think that's partially responsible for the change. But really, people just saying, look, no, this is who I am.